Welcome to the Orchard Hard Drive. With me, your host, Michael Muto. David arrived home, 2 bags in each hand as he tried to open his door. He just about managed it. Getting in, he put the bags down and looked inside. 1 bag was full of shopping, which he put away. The second he was more excited to look into. It was full of comics, all kinds of stuff from over the years. With the kettle on, David sat down to start reading some. What David loved was that these were not reprints but originals, not because he could resell them or anything, but because they had all the original ads. He picked up a good wide variety of comics from various decades. He opened an older one and laughed out loud at what he saw. X-ray glasses! Ha! I don't think I've ever actually seen an ad for X-ray glasses. That's gas, said David. He read over the ad, taking it in. He thought back to when he was a kid and really wanted X-ray glasses. Of course he knew they weren't real. How could they actually let you see through things? That'd be silly. But he thought they looked cool. Then he noticed the company name. He chuckled and thought, what if they're still around? A quick search later, and they were. He couldn't see anything for sale, but there was a number. A quick ring, and he was through to them. This will sound silly, but there's no chance you have any X-ray glasses in a box somewhere? He asked the person who answered the call. He was told to wait a moment. He listened to the on-hold music. It's pretty nice. David started to dance a little. Then the voice returned. They told him they had actually found the very last one they guessed. They had stopped selling them well before the person on the call started working for the company. They were amazed they had any, as the company had moved on from that kind of product years ago, and now mostly sold office supplies. But told him if he really wanted them, they could send him the glasses. He was delighted. What a cool day, he thought. He waited and waited. Weeks turned to a month. Then finally they arrived. David ran and ripped the package open, and there they were. The cheapest looking thing he'd ever seen. Great, he thought, and put them on. Ah, these are class. Then put them on the windowsill and went about his day. They made for great decoration, and maybe, if he was feeling it, he'd make it part of an outfit one day. Later that night, it was a beautiful clear sky with a huge moon hanging there, shining its light into David's room and onto the X-ray glasses. The glasses started to glow. Very early the next morning, while it was still dark outside, David was getting breakfast when he did a double take at the glasses. Hang on, I didn't know these were glow in the dark. That's brilliant, he said, picking them up. Then he put them on. Maybe there's an extra effect when you wear them in the dark, he thought. Wait, hang on, he shouted. I can actually see through the walls. How? How is this happening? Am I dreaming? He asked before actually pinching himself. He was very much awake. He looked at his hands, then down through the floor under his flat, then across rooms. Everything was open to him. Wherever he looked, he could see right through. Of course, where he looked, everyone was skeletons. He took them off for a moment and faced the wall. Then put the glasses on again. He could see through to the next building. He could see someone there was shaking something, but couldn't figure out what exactly. Then the person moved and became clear. This person was now dragging another person along the ground. David had just witnessed a murder. His blood ran cold, and he took the glasses off and stuffed them in his pocket. His hands were shaking. He couldn't believe it. What could he do? He looked for his phone. He had to report this. He called and tried to tell the operator what he'd seen. They took it all down, then asked how he saw this. He told them about the X-ray glasses. The line went quiet, and finally the voice told him to quit making prank calls, that they were not funny at all, and hung up. David had to admit it was far-fetched, but he knew what he saw. Only now, what would he do? Was he the only witness? He paced his apartment over and over, sweat pumping through him. Then he decided to try and look out the window and see over to the building. Then he heard a bang of what sounded like a van door, and it sped away. David ducked down, and the van zoomed past. He only got a quick look at it. A red van. That was them, David guessed. They were making their getaway. He didn't know what to do. Then he got his coat and ran out the door. Down the stairs and outside, he looked, and the building next door was some kind of book publisher, he thought. He walked around to see more. He didn't know what exactly he was looking for, but something. He walked around for 15-20 minutes, then he saw it. The red van. David ran behind a wall and peeked around the corner. Were they actually going back? Was this what people meant about criminals returning to the scene of the crime? He decided to follow. Getting closer, he saw the van pull up. There were actually two people, one driving and another going into the building. They were going in through the back. David thought he'd take some photos on his phone. What could they possibly be doing? Thought David. He wanted to get a closer look. He could almost hear them. He thought he could hear them say something about getting them in the back. Then he heard rattling. He couldn't see what they were doing, so he tried to get in closer, moving in towards the gate. They were packing something into the back of the van. Suddenly, he remembered the glasses. He patted himself and found them in his pocket. He tried to put them on, but as he pulled them out of his pocket, they flew out of his hand and into the street. He couldn't move or they'd see him. Then before he knew it, cars drove past, over the glasses, destroying them completely. David couldn't even cry out. He went back to watching what these guys were doing. Then he thought he'd call the guards again, this time about the theft going on. He told them how he believed they might have assaulted someone, and now were going back for things to steal. Soon David could hear sirens, and then the voices panic. He heard doors slam shut, and shouting. David ran down the road away from the gate. The van started to pull out, but before it could get very far up the road, they were stopped by a guard car. David walked up close to the sea. As he walked past, he saw the two being questioned. Then another guard looked in the back of the van. David's mouth was wide open when he saw what was in there. Science class skeletons. Loads of them in the back. That's what David saw. They were dragging science class skeletons. Nobody had been murdered. They were stealing plastic science class skeletons. David almost fainted in relief. After being questioned by the guards, David walked up and saw in the now empty road his glasses. Picking them up, they were utterly destroyed. I guess they didn't see that coming, he thought. Dan was really annoyed at himself for making up that crap joke.